Hello students, welcome to the 7th lecture on Introduction to Mathematica. In last lecture I have talked about numerical methods with Mathematica. In this lecture also it will be the continuation of the last lecture. So last time we have seen the root finding methods of a polynomial. Now the thing which generally comes after it in numerical methods is solving simultaneous linear equations in Mathematica. So how to solve simultaneous linear equations? So suppose that you are having three equations: x plus y plus z is equal to 0, x plus 2y plus 3z is equal to 1, and x minus y plus z is equal to 2. Okay, and you are asked to find out the value of x, y and z. So it is basically a problem of solving simultaneous linear equations. Generally in numerical methods, what we do is we use Gauss-Jordan method and all those things. Here it is pretty straightforward in Mathematica to solve. So you have to use the same command, the solve command, and you have to write first the LHS, okay, of all the three equations. So I will write x plus y plus z. Okay, then the second equation, the RHS of the second equation is x plus 2y plus 3z, and the RHS and the LHS of the third equation is x minus y plus z. Okay, and you have to write assignment operator is equal to, and then you have to write the RHS. So it is basically 0, 1 and 2. So basically you are having three sets of equation: x plus y plus z is equal to 0, then you are having x plus 2y plus 3z is equal to 1, and x minus y plus z is equal to 2. Okay, so it is pretty straightforward. You have to just write this much, and you can see the values of x, y and z are generated. Yeah, so it is that simple in Mathematica. Now we will talk about interpolation techniques. So yeah, so now we will talk about interpolation techniques. So now, when we use why do we use interpolation? So in interpolation problems we have two arrays. Okay, one is x and one is y of x. So basically in x we have values 1, 1.2, 1.5 and 1.9 and 2.5, let us say. Okay, and in y of x basically there is a function which is evaluated at all these points. Okay, so here we have xi and here we have y of xi. Okay, so here suppose that we are having 0.5, here we are having 9.2, here we are having 11.8, 15.4, and here we are having 96.9. Okay, and so we are having a list of points and a function which is evaluated at these points. Now if we are asked to find the value at point 1.6, okay, suppose that at you are asked to find the value of y of 1.6. So we are not actually having in this array the value of y of 1.6, but using interpolation techniques you can actually find that value. Okay, so this is why we use interpolation. Now here you can see that these intervals are not equal intervals, so it is 1 and 1.2, so spacing is 0.2. Here the spacing is 0.3. Okay, from 1.5 to 1.9 the spacing is 0.4, and here it is 0.6. So these are known as interpolation, where the it is unequal interval, interpolation of unequal interval. So for this kind of techniques we are using Lagrange's interpolation technique. Okay, So what do we get in Lagrange's interpolation? We will get a polynomial. In that polynomial, whatever the value of xi you keep, you will get the value of y of I. So that polynomial is defined as, okay, p of xf. What is xf? Xf is this point. I am defining this as xf. Okay, is equal to summation of I is equal to 1 to n. Okay, I am defining this as x1. Okay, it can also be defined as x0, but since Mathematica takes the first array as the first element of the array as 1, so I am using this thing, and I will write here y of xi, and then there is a product, okay, for I not is equal to j, and j will also vary from 1 to n. Okay, and here in this we have xf, okay, which is this point where I am interested. Okay, xf minus xj to xi minus xj. Okay, so this is the formula for the polynomial of Lagrange's interpolation. Now I have to calculate this whole things. Okay, this is valid for all the kind of things when the interval is unequal, but there are other interpolation techniques also, okay, which are the forward difference tables and the divided difference and the backward difference. Divided difference can also work for unequal intervals, but the forward and backward, Newton's forward and backward interpolation technique will only work for when the interval between these 2 points in xi is equal. So it is 1, 1.2, then the next should be 1.4, then 1.6, and then so on. Okay, so I will not discuss those things can also be actually implied in Mathematica, but I will talk about Lagrange's interpolation. So let us start doing this in Mathematica. Okay, so before implementing Lagrange's interpolation technique in Mathematica, the first thing which we have to tackle is how to implement those summations and products in Mathematica. So there is a special inbuilt function called sum in Mathematica, and which is used to replace sigma. So this is the inbuilt function. So let me take a example. So let me define a function f of x and n, okay, is equal to sigma of x to the power k by k factorial, and k is varying from 0 to n. Okay, so this is my function. So it is basically standing from sigma of k is equal to 0 to n of x to the power k by k factorial, and let me execute this. Okay, so now let me write f of y by, let me take the first 8 terms of this summation. So f of y comma 8. So you can see that this is how the summation has been evaluated. Okay, now instead of summation, if I want to do that pi sigma, instead of sigma, if I want to do that pi, which is stands for the product, so I will be writing product. Okay, and now let me evaluate this entire thing. Okay, so you can see that the product has been implemented. So it is basically standing for x to the power k by k factorial and k will vary from 0 to n. So this is how you have to implement that sigma and pi, okay, in Mathematica. Okay, not only in this problem, but these are very common in physics, as you know. So this is how you have to tackle these things. So you can see here that I have written a very small program for Lagrange's interpolation. So here you can see that p of xf. So p depends on xf, and I have defined the function like this. So you can see that here it is sigma, okay, sigma sum, and it is varying from I to the length of y. So basically the total length of y will be n, yeah. So here you can see sum, and y is written as the in double bracket, so it basically means the ith element of the array y. Okay, now there is a product, so pi, and if I is not is equal to j, then it will be xf minus xj divided by xi minus xj. Everywhere you see that I have written x and double square bracket j, and here double square bracket I. So it is basically the ith and jth element of x array and y array. Okay, you can't write this in single square bracket. Okay, so you keep this in mind. So this is a very small program. Okay, and you can see that I have written my x array, okay, and corresponding to x array, this is my y array. Okay, you can also keep a condition where length of x array should be equal to length of y array, then only the program shall work. Okay, so you can add an additional condition. So this is my x array and this is y array, and now I want to find the value of the polynomial at 1.5, and this is my value. Okay, so this is how you can basically write a program for yourself. Okay, no, not much depending on the inbuilt functions of Mathematica. You can simply, like in any other programming language, how you write your program, in the same way you can also implement the program in Mathematica also, using the very simple syntax of Mathematica. Taking the advantage of such a simple syntax, you can write your own programs, not much depending on the inbuilt functions. Okay, if you don't like inbuilt functions much often, then you can use this kind of techniques where you can write one line programs and it works fine. There is also an inbuilt function for interpolation, and the inbuilt function is known as the interpolation itself. So in the square bracket, the first thing you have to do is a square curly bracket. Okay, and in that curly bracket, you have to write first x and then the corresponding f of x, then x, again the corresponding, okay, f of x or y of x, whatever you call it, and then you have to write this complete thing. Okay, and you can define it something like f. So this is how this is implemented, and once you do it, so an interpolation function will be generated, and you have to just find the value of f at 1.5. So this value will be generated. Okay, so I have taken the same data which we have taken here. So you can see here the value which I have got from Lagrange's interpolation is negative of 0.977381, and here I have got negative of 0.965641, so somewhat closer, but there is some difference between both of these values. So this is how you can do interpolation using inbuilt function also. Okay, so this function this interpolation, okay, inbuilt function will work for equal interval and unequal interval both. Okay. Okay, so now we will talk about numerical integration techniques. Uh, so for numerical integration, we have various techniques. The most basic one is the trapezoidal rule, and then there is a Simpson rule, okay, uh, which is 1/3 rule, okay, and 3 by 8. And there is one more method for numerical integration, that is the Gauss quadrature rule. So these are the various techniques for numerical integration. We will take one of the example of trapezoidal rule. So first of all, what is the basic technique which we follow, okay, while doing numerical integration? So suppose that if I am having an integral which is going from 2 to 4, and it is 1 upon 1 plus x dx. Okay, so if I have this kind of integral, so the first thing which I want is, what are the number of intervals which I want. So if I am talking about trapezoidal rule, then there is no boundation on what should be the value of n. So it could be any, it could be either odd or even. So let me take n is equal to 10. Okay, so once I have the lower interval a, the upper interval b, the function, okay, f of x, and the number of intervals, okay. Okay, these are the four things: a, b, f of x, and n. Okay, if I have these four things with me, then I can implement any of these methods. Okay, so first of all, I have to find what will be my increment. So increment is basically measured by b minus a by n. Okay, so it will be 4 minus 2 by 10. Okay, so the first thing is to be calculated is h. Okay, then I have to make a array, okay, of x and f of x. Okay, so how will this x work? Okay, this will be xi and this will be f of xi. So xi is actually given as x0, okay, plus ih. Here x0 basically means your a plus ih. Okay, and so here it will be 2 plus, okay, 0. First of all, when I is equal to 0, then it will be 2 plus ih. Okay, so it will be 1 into h, then it will be 2 plus 2 into h, and it will go on up till 2 plus, okay, nh. Okay, so this last value, so this first value is always a, and this last value is always b. Okay, and at each value of f of x, f of xi is to be calculated. Okay, so this is how this thing works. So for trapezoidal rule, okay, the formula is like this: the integration, okay, is it, the answer of the integration is h by 2 f of a plus f of b plus 2 times of f of a plus ih. Okay, and it will be the summation of this, so it is to be written like this. 2 plus summation of, okay, it will vary from I is equal to 1 up till n minus 1, okay, and it is f of a plus I h, okay, where h is equal to b minus a by n, okay. So this is the rule for trapezoidal method, and now I will show you how it is to be implemented in Mathematica, so you understand what is the rule, okay. The answer, okay, you can write it as answer is equal to h by 2 f of a plus f of b plus, okay, this summation of I from 1 to n minus 1 of f of a plus ih, okay, where h is equal to b minus a by n. So now you see that I have written a small code for a trapezoidal method. So you can see here that I have written a function trap, which stands for trapezoidal rule, which is a function of f of x, because you have to supply that thing. Then you have to give a, which is the lower interval, the upper interval, and the number of intervals, okay. Then which is equal to 0.5, which is 1 by 2 into b minus a by n, so it is h. So this whole thing is h by 2, okay, into f of a plus f of b plus sigma, okay, of 2 into f of a plus ih, okay. So this is the h, okay. So it is f of a plus ih, where I is varying from 1 to n minus 1, okay. Now you see that if I want to calculate 1 upon 1 plus x, okay, and my lower interval is 0 and the upper interval is 1, okay, but you see here that I have not written x straightforward way. I have written 1 upon 1 plus hash, and there is a end symbol. See, what is the reason for that? Here x in this whole command is not actually a fixed variable, okay, it is basically a array, okay, and so array is not a fixed number, it will change for each iteration, okay. So you have to keep in mind that whenever this kind of thing arises, you have to write hash instead of the variable, because it is not a fixed thing, it is an arbitrary thing in the function, okay. So it is 1 upon 1 plus x, and here at the end of that statement you have to write end, okay. So if you want to write 1 upon 1 plus x, so you have to write 1 upon 1 plus hash instead of x, and at the end of that expression you have to write an end symbol, okay, end symbol, and this is my lower interval, and this is my upper interval, and this is my 1000. So this is my number of intervals. See, if I keep it 30, okay, or 10, okay, then you see if I evaluate this, so you can see here so when I have taken the value of n is equal to 10, the value is 0.693771, okay. I am taking also comparing that value, okay, integration of 1 upon 1 plus x for x varying from 0 to 1, uh, and you can see that this and this value are different. I am considering this value from the inbuilt function as more correct version, so what I will do is that I will increase the number of intervals. So if I take the number of intervals to be 1000, yeah, which is not possible to solve in a notebook, and then if I verify it, so you can see this, that this thing and this thing has become same, okay. So this is how by increasing the number of interval you can get more accurate answer, and the size of the interval can be as big as possible, okay, no boundations on that. Now if you want to, in your inbuilt function, which is your n integrate also, Okay, there are some special features like if you write 1 upon 1 plus x and x varying from 0 to 1 is normal thing, yeah. But if you want to solve this integration with some specific, okay, method, okay, like a Monte Carlo method or Newton Cotes method or any other method, then you have to write a comma, then you have to write method, okay, tends to, and you can see that here is a complete list of all the possible methods of integration. Okay, so you can solve it using all these methods which are available. Okay, Monte Carlo rule and trapezoidal and many other rules. Okay, Newton Cotes formula and all those things. Here it is trapezoidal also. Okay, so if I solve it using trapezoidal, then I have got the same method. So in the inbuilt function also, you get the functionality where you can switch over to different kinds of method. Okay, so this is how this inbuilt function also helps.